Hello and welcome back everybody, it's time for another My Hero Academia chapter review. This time it's 192 and I haven't actually uploaded anything since the last review, which is surprising because I've never really gone without uploading for this long before. But for those wanting to know why, if you're subscribed to me, well, there's a very simple reason, and it's the heat. Like, I just have not had the energy to record in this heat because it's like living in an oven right now. And I'm only making my review because I think a lot of people expect me to. But apart from that, I probably could skip out on this review as well. I'm just saying, the fact that you're getting this review is actually quite surprising. Anyway, let's talk the chapter because this chapter was pretty fucking good. This chapter focused a lot on Endeavor and Todoroki, well, the Todoroki family to be more precise, excluding the mother because the mother wasn't really that focused in this chapter. But we have Fuyumi, we have Natsuo, we have Shoto, and of course Endeavor himself being very prominent in this chapter. And this is something that I've really wanted to see for a while. Ever since we knew he was gonna have this arc, I've wanted to see some kind of interaction between them. And it's not quite surprising the way Natsu reacted to his dad because of the fact that in a previous chapter we obviously did see that he had this quite aggressive tone when talking about Endeavor because of the way that he had been treating all of his children and how that kind of caused the family to fall apart. So I believe a lot of people will say that his reaction is quite expected. I don't think a lot of people are gonna say that this is not how you should react. In fact, I think to some degree it is definitely how you should react because you really should let someone know when they've done something wrong, even if they know it already. You should point out that, just because you've done this one thing, that doesn't make everything in the past go away. So I think on Endeavor's part, that's good to hear, but of course it's gonna hurt a little bit, and you can see on Endeavor at times that he's really suffering from hearing all of this criticism because he's trying to repent. Now, can he be redeemed for what he's done in the past? I don't really know because, what he's done in the past and what he's gonna do in the future, these are completely different things. They're not going to be directly related to his family situation, right? Unless he does something spectacular in regards to the family at some point in the future. But what he's done now has nothing to do with the family per se, so I wouldn't really say that what he's done is a redemption on what he's done to his family, not in any way whatsoever. However, what he's done has still built up his character, but in a very different way. He's working on becoming a different kind of hero. As we all know, he wants to become the new symbol, the pillar that people are gonna look up to, and this is his first step to becoming that. And already we have people who look up to Endeavor because of how he is trying to move up and become this new symbol. Whether everyone's going to look up to him right away, probably not. I mean, we have seen some mixed feelings already, Natsu obviously being one case because, well, he has personal issues with Endeavor, but also he understands the difference between family and being a hero. He's not hating Endeavor for what he's doing or what he has done now. He's simply saying, obviously, that whatever he did in the past can never be redeemed for what he's doing right now. One of the things that I really found interesting is how Fuyumi is very different in the way she reacts to Endeavor. She is very accepting of Endeavor's new idea of what he wants to do. He wants to bring the family together, and she's perfectly fine with that. Now, I don't think she really forgives him for what he's done per se. I mean, even if she says she does, I think there's still gonna be, somewhere deep inside of her, there's gonna be a part of her that's still going to hate Endeavor, even if you can't see it on the surface. But I'm really happy to see that the family, they don't necessarily share the same opinions on everything, especially when it comes to Endeavor, especially if you look at Shoto, because Shoto in this chapter, he's very neutral in my opinion. Like, you don't really see him picking a specific side really, because he is very much just sitting there listening to both Natsu and Fuyumi having this conversation when it comes to Endeavor while slurping his noodles which is quite something, I have to say. Like, apart from not really picking a certain side, Shoto really seemed like he was in this chapter primarily to slurp some noodles, which, you know, is fine by me. I'm not gonna complain if he wants to eat some food while listening to some drama. Like, I've done that, trust me, I have done that so many times, and I know that it's a great feeling, even though he should probably have some kind of opinion when you think about it, especially seeing how Shoto is kind of on Endeavor's side, as we've seen in the past. He's not necessarily forgiving him for what he's done in the past, but he is definitely seeing that Endeavor can become something more. He can definitely see that Endeavor is worthy of becoming the next #1 hero that everyone will look up to. I mean, he's the #1 hero right now, but not everyone looks up to him, as I said recently. But a couple of chapters back, we saw how Shoto, he reacted very explosively at when Endeavor took that hit to the face, which now actually gave Endeavor a scar, which is quite interesting. I would say that that in itself kind of gives Endeavor karma on some level, because of how he is indirectly or directly, however you want to look at it, responsible to what happened to Shoto as a kid when his mother poured hot water on his face to like cover up what represented Endeavor on him. So there's definitely some kind of karma going on there, even though it's not really something that necessarily had to do with Shoto. You know, yes, the fact that he now also has a scar on his face on the same eye, in fact, is definitely something to note. The last thing that I want to talk about that has to do with the Todorokis is, of course, that Natsu mentioned a person called Toya. In fact, he referred to him as Big Bro Toya, which implies that obviously something happened to his elder brother, which is quite possibly Dabi's real identity. Now, we don't know if that's gonna be Dabi or not. I just thought I'd like bring this up because it is something that a lot of people, of course, speculate on, because people want Dabi to be a Todoroki brother, and given what's been transpiring in the manga right now, you know, it's very plausible that he is in fact a Todoroki brother, because of the fact that firstly, of course, he named Shoto Todoroki by name, and then he named Endeavor by Enji Todoroki. And the fact that Endeavor couldn't see clearly when he met Dabi kinda tells me, of course, that, you know, there is some connection, but they don't want us to find out, and what better way than to make Endeavor not being able to see clearly so that he could identify his own child. So I think there's some connection going on, especially since he's a Blue Fire user and everything, you know, there's definitely something worth looking into there. But is Dabi a Todoroki brother? I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. You know, I've said this in a couple of reviews probably, but you know, it's just something that we are gonna have to wait with. But we are getting these small clues that could build up to him being a Todoroki brother. Now, we got some small things on Hawks as well, like a very brief backstory on Hawks when we saw him as a child, and obviously we'll learn that he was some kind of a fucking prodigy or something, which was quite interesting. Like, we got to see his roots, but we don't know what happened in between, of course. We only know what happened, you know, at that point and how things are looking right now. Whether he continued on that path forever, I mean, it's a very strong possibility, because, well, they probably just wanted to push him to becoming a hero, which could definitely explain his personality, like how he's not really in it for the glory necessarily. Like, he doesn't really seem to be that guy. He's all about results, and that's it. Last thing that I'm gonna bring up actually in this review is, of course, Deku, because I think a lot of people want me to talk about this, especially since you did see this very interesting shot at the very end where Deku supposedly had a dream of meeting all of the previous One For All users, or at least some of them, and then we see One For All and All For One facing off. So we're going to be seeing something interesting next chapter. Now, whether this is gonna be the next arc or if this is just like 1 to 2 chapters, well, I don't know, but I'm gonna hope that it's a bit prolonged. I don't expect to see like an entire fight between One For All, the original user, and All For One. I do think it's gonna be bits and pieces at best. Like, I don't see it being the entire thing because of the fact that it is a dream, and in dreams you usually don't get to experience an entire story. You usually get to experience something brief. You know, things move very quickly when you dream, as for those who remember their dreams, they're gonna be able to relate to that probably. Like, you wouldn't experience an entire lifetime. Like, you don't have hours and hours in a dream. Like, whenever you dream, even though you sleep for hours and hours, a dream usually moves very quickly. So I think it's gonna be bits and pieces, or just a very quick blast and we're just gonna see them fight very briefly. I want to learn more about the other users of One For All though, like that is definitely something that I'm looking forward to, especially Nana, because we've heard a lot about Nana. We don't know what her other quirk is, we do know she had one. As for the other users, we don't really know anything about them. All we know is how many there are. I don't exactly remember now how many previous users of One For All there are, but I do know there's quite a few. So there is a lot of room, if this is an entire arc, to really expand on the history of One For All, and it is something that I would really like to see. It's probably a very good time as well, seeing as we haven't really had a lot of Deku now, because in Culture Festival, although we had Deku facing off Gentle, the arc wasn't really about Deku. And the Overhaul arc, although we had, you know, a really interesting fight with Deku, wasn't really, again, the arc didn't focus around Deku as a whole. It was a lot more about the big three and Overhaul and Eri. So to have an arc that focuses around Deku a lot more is obviously, for story purposes, something that we may need, but I also hope that we get to see some of the other characters in 1A soon, because we haven't really expanded on a lot of them. Like, there's obviously a lot of characters that need more screen time, but then there are actually characters that have screen time that I still believe should have more, like Bakugo. We need something big on Bakugo, because right now Bakugo is being benched quite a lot, and it is something that I'm not really that happy about, because he's one of my favorite characters in the story, so I would like to see a lot more Bakugo, especially, for instance, a villain arc surrounding Bakugo. That is something that I would really like to see soon in the future. Whether it's gonna happen, well, who knows. I'm just gonna hope Todoroki brings me some great stuff whenever it does happen. Anyway, I'm gonna end the review here, so I hope you liked it. And I hope you liked the chapter, because I thought the chapter was fucking phenomenal this week. Maybe you don't agree, let me know in the comments. And as always, if you did, be sure to Detroit, smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and remember everyone, Toga is waifu, Toga is lifu.